All right, so damn it, I won't even have to go inside. Fucking peacock. I'm Scott, you're watching Regular Veteran. Today, I'm breaking down Sandcastle. First, I'm gonna give you a plot synopsis so you understand what I'm talking about. Then I'm gonna give you a play-by-play of what they did right, what they did wrong, and then I'll end with the symbolism, what the director might have been trying to tell you, what the underlying theme might have been. If you haven't watched Sandcastle yet, you probably should. You might not enjoy the movie as much if you watch this first. What did I do with my notes? Here they are. It's a Treehouse Voltage 42 automatic production shot by Ben Richardson, and it's directed by Fernando Coimbra. The stars are Nicholas Hoult and Henry Cavill, and in my opinion, Logan Marshall Green is phenomenal. I think playing an NCO is really difficult, so I think he did a really fantastic job. You might have recognized Nicholas Hoult from some prior movies that he's been in, About a Boy, Warm Hearts. I loved Warm Hearts. Doesn't have anything to do with the military, but it was a phenomenal zombie movie if you like those. Sandcastle follows Private Ocker, Sergeant Harper, and their exploits in Iraq. There's a broken down water station. We bombed it, so it's our fault. They're the ones tasked to go fix it. Private Ocker actually narrates this tale. It's his internal dialogue that we're listening to as the narration. The movie opens with tanks moving and Humvees. There's no shooting, but you can see the military's moving around. They're staging for a forward operation. Private Ocker actually goes over to a Humvee and smashes his hand multiple times. I know that sounds a little far-fetched because who's gonna smash their own hand? But I actually have a friend of mine who, he got in a fight, he got knocked out, he landed on his wrist really weird and it was dislocated. He was in a bunch of pain and he didn't really have an excuse to tell the commander. So he asked another friend of mine to actually break his wrist. And I didn't know about it for a couple years after it happened. The next scene we cut to, he's got a cast on, he's getting that cast taken off, and we understand what they're setting up Private Ocker to be. He's the weak link, he is the one that you don't want on your team. So we're watching the story of Private Ocker as he changes and transforms. He is just in this for the GI Bill. I can't blame him, I totally understand. Most of the people in the Air Force, I personally signed up primarily for the GI Bill.
I'm an American soldier, an American. I will proudly take a stand when liberty's in jeopardy. I will always do what's right.
They go in, they have a little action, but the entire time Private Ocker is questioning. He doesn't even know why he's there. Twice in the first 10 minutes, we hear Private Ocker question why he's there. He's really seen as an outsider, he's pensive, he's quiet, he's the analyst. He's the one that sits back and tries to see the bigger picture. Sergeant Harper actually sees that, and it's really cool to see his NCO really being an NCO in this movie. I really felt like Sergeant Harper was able to understand and play into the strengths and weaknesses of everyone in his command. And we start out, he wants to leave. He wants to get out and go home as fast as possible. He's a reservist. Anyways, the point wasn't to give you action, but was to tell the story of Sergeant Harper's mission is to get Iraqi men to volunteer to help with the mission to bring water to their town. He fails. And ironically, it's Private Ocker's relationship with the school official locally that allows them to make a connection and get Iraqi men to help work on the water. You see as the relationship develops and the local nationals try to help as much as possible, but their hands are tied just the same. They don't go when they think that there's gonna be trouble or it's gonna lead to death. Private Ocker's relationship brings men because he talks to the school official gets his brother to get men, they get out there, they do some work, they don't get the water on, but it's a huge victory for both sides because they're coming together, working together, and getting this problem solved. They're really excited, they're probably gonna get out of there faster, and they actually get drunk that night in their forward operating base. Getting drunk on a deployment is a no-no. but it always happens. It happened on my deployment, it happens everywhere. There's always a black market for alcohol in any deployment, and it was really kind of cool to see that happen, just a glimpse. So the next morning they wake up, they go back to the school, and the school official that is friends with Private Ocker is burned. And his wife is devastated, the community around is devastated. Just being associated with the US military is what got him murdered. One of the things that I really liked about this movie, there wasn't any love drama. That does happen on a deployment, but I'm so glad that they just stayed away from that altogether. The ending was actually my job. When they pull up on the flight line and you see the planes in the background and Private Ocker talks to him for a minute and tells the sergeant major how nice of a day it is for the infantry, you kind of understand the change that's taken place, but you're doing so in my job area. That's where I worked, and I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't be able to drive up to an aircraft like that. You're in a Humvee, it's throwing rocks everywhere. You can't have rocks next to a plane. It's called FOD. That's a huge no-no. And the pallet that he puts his bags on is actually just a skid. 4 of those sit on top of one pallet that goes in the back of a C-130. It didn't tell the truth in that way, but I can understand why they would embellish that part, because it really wasn't important and it didn't help the story in any way. Don't think that that's, you just drive from shooting a guy and then you're like, okay, time to go home, and you just drive your Humvee right out to a C-130. Not gonna happen. Now to the propaganda part. Was this movie just a bunch of propaganda? Was it anti-war? For me, this hit home as not propaganda at all. It really hit home more so as trying to explain the weirdness and awkwardness of war and growing up in that environment. You're sending an 18, 19, 20-year-old over and telling them to shoot at someone, and in that midst, they're trying to figure out who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, but they don't really have a choice, so they have to do what they're doing, and they're in a position where life and death is on the line, so they're gonna hold the line. They're also wondering what's going on, why are we here, what's the actual mission, not what am I doing, but what am I a part of? And for me, when they were in a firefight and they showed the fear in the hands shaking and trying to put that clip in, and it wasn't just going in so they could shoot, it was fumbling around and shaking, and that to me showed the fear and the understanding that life is on the line. It didn't hit home as propaganda to me. They didn't show a lot of deaths, they showed a lot of death. They showed the result of war without having to show the action of it. And I really thought that was really well done. The buildings were blown up. There was death. There was a dead body. He's in the back of a Humvee with a dead body, but you don't have that glorification of death in this movie. And I really enjoyed that. It's a really beautifully shot movie. The close-ups are smooth, even the action is smooth. This movie wasn't to be jarring, you're not gonna get tossed around a ton. Superman was in civilian clothes. Do I look like I give a fuck was on the back of his shirt, and he really didn't. He spray painted his dog green, and he really was over there handling business however he thought was best. And I thought that was really cool. When you see Sergeant Harper and Private Ocker talking to the captain or Superman, you see Sergeant Harper talking first and then opening up the floor for Private Ocker. They really respected and understood the military hierarchy and how that chain of command works. At the beginning, you get to hear Captain Superman talk to Mahmoud.
Mahmoud, you got my 20?
This is Mahmoud.
I want my 20, okay? Dollars, not dinars.
How about I pay you in freedom and democracy?
The water actually kind of symbolizes that freedom and democracy. You can't hold freedom and democracy. You can't really hold water, but there's this idea that you're gonna give them something and then the mission's gonna be done. But they leave the enemy open-ended because they just show up on a hilltop or at night. They're not really a forefront enemy. For me, this movie, watch it, don't watch it, definitely watch it. Watch it with an open mind. Don't think that you're gonna get the next Ron Howard. It's not gonna come out like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. This one's gonna make you think. It's gonna have long, drawn out scenes. It's gonna be a little bit slower. It's gonna teach you a little bit about the realities of war, and it's not gonna glorify it for you. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. When I first saw that Henry Cavill was gonna be in it, I thought it was gonna be a shoot 'em up movie. It turned out it was a thought-provoking, kind of intellectual take on war. So I highly recommend this movie. I'm very glad that I'm starting this series off with such a thought-provoking movie. I'm not going to analyze the special forces or guns or tactics used in this because, I mean, I put people on planes for a job. I didn't shoot people. I didn't ever see firefight. But I will tell you, if you check out Nick Koumalatzos, Nick, what's your name again?
My name's Nick Koumalatzos.
Thanks. Go over and check out Nick's page because he actually just recently reviewed Die Hard and Den of Thieves. He's a former Marine Raider and he does discuss those tactics. At the 5-minute mark in the movie, you hear,
What do I know? Tell me what I know.
that was a really, really beautifully placed piece of dialogue. I've tried to break down personally what is the military trying to instill in us in basic training. I understand they're brainwashing us. That is known fact. I know that they want me to listen to authority and do it on command. But what was the underlying message? And I felt like at that 5-minute mark when Sergeant Chutsky says to Sergeant Harper,
What do I know? Tell me what I know.
that's actually the underlying thing that they want you to really learn in basic training. It's actually a breaking down of your self-will to know what you know. If they tell you what you know, you only have to think what they tell you, and there's no worry as to why you're where, and you're just gonna do what you're told. So I thought that was a really beautiful placed piece of dialogue and really showed a symbolism for the thinking of their interpretation of the military and what they were trying to convey in this movie. Like, subscribe. I need your help in growing this channel, and every comment, like, share, everything counts. So please let me know what you thought of the movie, if you had a different interpretation. Maybe you saw something I didn't. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Thanks again. My name's Scott. You're watching Regular Veteran. I'll see you on the internet.